Mark out Mania. Mark out Mania. It's Saturday morning and we're marking out on Mark Out Mania.
Yeah! Saturday morning, marking out. I'm ready to go. What's up, guys? How you guys doing today?
Hey.
What's up, Jimmy? What's up, Pedro?
Hola, everyone. Welcome to Mark Out Mania.
Yes, sir. What's up, people out there? Woo! Marking out early on a Saturday morning.
What drink of choice
today is the Big Van Vader show.
Yes, paying tribute to the greatest big man, Big Van Vader, man. Awesome guy. Awesome guy. Awesome. And of course, we always got to touch on, we got to touch on Lucha Underground this week.
Yeah, it was, we're really getting into the swing of things, I think, to where, what we've come to expect, great matches and more story. And
it was a really good episode this week. It was the best episode really by far, I thought, at least.
Oh yeah, it was super good.
It actually flowed, It actually flowed. It wasn't bad. It was, it was good storytelling. It was great in-ring work, even the announcing, all the vignettes. It was perfect. It was really good. It was really good this week. I was pumped up from watching it.
Johnny really taking it personal from, the Serpent Tribe, trying to rally the troops and then, telling Jackie he's got to go in there and take out one of the members. And he's like, man, I hate snakes.
That was an awesome vignette, man. That was an awesome vignette. I love Jack was awesome in that. He killed it.
The Dragon Slayer. He's like, man, dragons, big, noble, majestic. Snakes are nasty.
Snakes are nasty. Ew. I just hope this culminates in the Taya versus Cobra Moon match in the Falls Count Anywhere all over the Ice Temple. That's all I want to see,
Oh, man.
I want to see them go at it. I want to see them go at it big time,
Yeah, that would be a fantastic match because we definitely need more of them in the wrestling role.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Speaking of that vignette. Oh, sorry.
Yeah.
No, I was just gonna say, speaking of that vignette, the stuff with Ricky Mandel and the creepy ass doll.
That is kind of cool. I like that. Has a bit of child's play to it. It's cool. I like it. It's cool.
I hate to say it. I suspect Angelico is not long for the Lucha Underground universe.
Yeah, no, I think you're right. I tell you something else is Ricky has been playing this up all summer on his Instagram.
Oh, really?
He's been giving the camera crazy looks and saying really weird off the wall shit. And Ricky Moondog's been going bonkers. He's been in character for all summer long.
That's where Lucha Underground shines in those vignettes. Yeah, because that's the way they did it. It looked really good. It looked really, really good. Yeah. Especially at the end with the doll turning his head. I was like, okay, that's kind of hot.
Yeah. Finally talking back to him.
Yeah. I mean, I was like, whoa.
Yeah. I mean, it's definitely, and we've seen, little stuff going on in the trailer. It's like, don't mess with that thing if you're not Ricky. The season 4 trailer.
Mm-hmm. And, I'm just curious to see, how Killer Cross is going to fit into all this, and how, I'm just waiting to see how everybody else is going to fit in. How everybody else is going to mesh. And if you want to talk about vignettes, how about the whole thing with Papa Quato and Matanza? That was hot too.
Oh my! The lore we got. Matanza's soul has been in that. A sliver of his soul has been in that key.
In the key, yeah.
That Dario was, holding over his head, and that's something else too that's really confusing. It's like, the way the fact that Matanza doesn't speak, really plays well into all of this, you know, because you don't get that communication. He doesn't, you know, he's not able to over reveal anything to the, you know, to the show.
Yeah, and now actually looking back on it, it kind of makes sense to how he was beat up so easily by Penta. You know, because now he's released and now he's going to run roughshod through everybody. You know.
Oh my God.
Yeah, it's really frightening to think about.
So I was like, well played, LU, well played.
It makes me wonder if we're going to see like an in-ring death, not like a real death, but like a character death in the
Right.
show.
Yeah, it's probably, yeah. It's I wouldn't put it past it. I wouldn't put it past LU. You know, I wouldn't put it past.
Well, that's the thing is there's, you know, it's the thing about stories is they some chapters come to an end and some of them keep going.
What do you guys think of the in-ring LU debut of Exolicious?
Fantastic.
I loved it.
It was awesome, and the crowd took to him right away.
Yeah, he's very athletic, has great energy. We need more pure baby faces in Lucha Underground.
Yes, I totally agree. A pure baby face. You hit the nail on the head,
yes.
Zeus. Yes, exactly.
And, you know, and of course, you know, Jack, super obnoxious, you know, and his promo, you know, you caught the full promo. They posted that online through the social media. And you know, he tore it up on the mic.
He did. That was an awesome promo
every time. I mean, they both did a great job.
I thought I thought they were paired perfectly together. I thought they were paired perfectly together. He was the pure gold babyface, and Jack played the brutal heel. It was perfect. It was perfect.
Oh yeah, I mean,
the in-ring chemistry,
great, you know, core strength and gymnastic type training, and you know, I mean, those two could have another match or two, and I wouldn't complain at all.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, and the in-ring chemistry was top notch. I mean, you actually felt it, you know.
When when Exo Delicious did that split-legged arm drag and then the cartwheel slap, and then did that dive.
Every time he did a split leg move, the split, I was like, "Ow, my nuts!" You know, I was like, that looks like it hurts.
Like after that dive out of the ring, his Exolicious started twerking, and I was like, I don't know why I was like freaking out. Like I didn't know I needed this so much, and
the believers were loving it. It.
It's, you know, it's great to have that fresh kind of thing, and you know, and like I said, you know, you got a young performer who's really just, I mean, this is the perfect time for EXO to be there to, you know, really kind of, you know, break out and show the world what he can do.
Yeah, man. I mean, if he keeps having in-ring work like that, man, if he keeps having matches like that all day long, all day, every day, awesome. Pure babyface. Don't change it. Don't change this. Just him as is. Just go. You know, he was awesome. He was awesome.
I think, you know, and then, you know, like moving forward, of course, you know, we had the three-way to the grave match.
That was kind of good. I
mean, that was really intense, and it's like, you know, when they brought out the 3 coffins.
Yeah.
You know, it's like, oh,
yeah,
this isn't good.
And Mil Machete is moving around like he's young again. Oh my God! I mean, you know.
Mil Machetes or Mil Muertes?
I said Mil Machete. Look at that, because he was on my TV screen all night.
He was, yeah. Camera loves him and Byron Fever.
Yeah. Hold on screen. I said Mil Machete. Look at that. Mil Muertes. My bad.
If y'all are new to our show, we also heavily support the Way Too Real Lucha Party, and they've got a couple of Temple believers, Mil Machetes being one of them, CJ Gennaro being the other, that are been there for tons and tons of the tapings, and you'll recognize Mil because he's got He's got a kind of a mask. It looks a lot like a Mil Mascaras mask.
Yeah.
And he was there with our other buddy, Lucha, Mount Lucha.
Yep, he was there with Lucha. Yep, that's right.
Mount Lucha.
Lucha was in the house that day.
And so yeah, and
I'm sure Justin was on TV a lot too.
Yes.
Yeah, Justin and Byron from MMM show, they're constantly on. It's like, oh, we need a crowd shot. It's
like, they go through crowd shot.
Yeah, go right through them.
I can't believe I said Mil Muertes. That's hot.
But yeah, Mil Muertes was. I mean, he's really recovered from that knee surgery. Well, he's fantastic.
Yeah, he dropped the weight. He dropped some weight, and he recovered good. He was moving around like he was, he was bouncing off the ropes like it was nothing. I was like, look at Mil go.
Especially after leaving AAA too. Like, you guys are going to realize, you really screwed this up.
Yep. And I got to give some love to Sammy Callahan, man. I love Jeremiah Crane was killing it. He was killing it once again. He was.
And of course, Phoenix.
Oh, well, he stole the show. He was all over the place. He was flying all over the place.
When they went up the stairs initially, and they were fighting up the stairs, for a moment I thought we were in the old temple.
And kind of had that feeling for a moment. Yeah, it did.
Phoenix comes from a spot even higher up than that, and I was like, "Oh shit, this is a new temple! Holy shit!" Like that part was nuts when he comes off. It was like, oh.
It was weird for a moment too. It's because the crowd was real loud, and then it was silent. Then the crowd was real loud again, and then the crowd was silent. I was like, "What the hell is going on?"
The crowd was a little strange.
Yeah, it was weird. It was like, whoa.
Yeah, and it's like Justin was saying on the MMM show that there's a lot of new people in the temple, and they're a lot of them just don't. They're new to Lucha Underground, new to the temple, and they also said that everybody was really tired by the time they shot that episode.
Oh, okay.
People been there for 7-8 hours or more by the time that episode was shot. So that's kind of the reason. And you got to respect Lucha Underground for not adding in applause and cheers like like WWF does and WCW used to sometimes. So, but outstanding match. And I tell you another part that really stuck out in my head was when Phoenix, ran along that railing.
Yeah, I thought he was going to bust his ass. I was like, oh my God.
Yeah,
I thought the same thing, James. I thought the same thing.
Yeah, because there was a fan there, and the fan didn't even know that Phoenix was, right beside him.
Yeah, I'm like, dude, get off the way.
Yeah,
he's like, what's wrong with you?
Hey man, move. And hey Phoenix.
These people got to learn how to sell the moves, I mean, come on, fall back, do the holy shit look. I mean, come on, people.
Right. Well, that's the thing about the being a believer is you're not just there to watch. You're part of the show.
Exactly, Zeus. Exactly.
You gotta when they say when they wave their hand, get the hell out of your seat.
Yeah.
They're because somebody's gonna land in it, and if you stay sitting there, you're gonna get a foot in your face.
Yep. Absolutely. That guy had me laughing. He just looked at it and was like, "Oh, hi." I was like, "What do you mean, oh, hi? Get out of my way! What the hell's wrong with you?"
Also, true to form, Lucha Underground, they don't leave stories unfinished, and Evilise returned to the temple, and
that was hot.
She killed Jeremiah Crane.
She broke the handle of his hand, right?
Yeah.
Broke his kneecap, busted him all up.
She busted him up, like boom,
Isn't there
Somebody called the cops? Domestic violence in the house. She just beat the shit out of him.
Isn't there kind of a thing in Lucha Underground where if you get put in the coffin, you kind of die unless someone resurrects?
Well, you're supposed to disappear and not come back, right?
Well, you're supposedly dead, but I mean, we've had guys that die and come back.
Right.
True.
Yeah,
That's
like I said,
true.
unless resurrected, you like die.
Mhm.
So she basically.
Yeah, but if you're Phoenix, you're the man of 1,000 lives. So
Right, he comes back. Right, but
just like Mil Muertes, he's got about 996 to go.
now, I hope they further the storyline with Jeremiah Crane and Evil East, because I see great potential in that storyline.
Oh yeah,
because they work perfect together. I mean, he sold that beating. I mean, he really did, and he looked like he was a mess. I mean, he was a mess. And I was like, look at Evil East go. And she was passionate and fiery, and she was yelling and screaming at him. I was like, I hope this turns out to be a really good storyline, because I see a lot of potential in that right there.
This was
good stuff, man.
This was another moment where, like, I was marking out at home because I really loved. I wanted Evil East to get revenge ever since Ultimo Lucha Tres, and then when
he came in and clipped her like Nancy Kerrigan.
Yeah.
But when it's happening, the crowd seems very quiet. They seem so quiet for it, and I was like, "She's getting revenge. Why are y'all so quiet for this?"
I know, he's like I mean, I was hyped up. I was like, "Go get him, and everybody wasn't saying anything. Even Melissa Santos was like, "Come on!" The crowd, the mic.
But yeah, I see.
Yeah, and I think though too that I think people were trying to hear what she was saying.
Yeah.
Because she wasn't mic'd for that.
Right.
But she beat the shit out of him.
Oh man, that was good stuff, man. That was great stuff. I love it. Him and Mil Muertes and Phoenix put on an absolute great show, man. This felt like a classic Lucha Underground match. I mean, this felt like a classic Lucha Underground episode. It had great vignettes. It had great storytelling inside of another story. It had great in-ring action and a hot debut for Exolution. It felt like a really good classic episode of LU. Yeah, I was like, now we're making sense.
Going back to, because, Mil Muertes and Phoenix have, history, going back to season 1.
Right. Yep. That's right.
And now, the way that, when Katrina closed the coffin on Phoenix, boy, she looked happy.
Yep.
I mean, really furthering the evil plan. I mean, that's really, something that, really, kind of cemented this. It's like, okay, here's the next step. It's like, of course, we know she's got to get the other half of that medallion from her mother. And to try to to make all of this work together. So it's definitely not something that's gonna just.
On a side note,
On
a side note, I just love it when Lucha Underground infiltrates my life in real life. I was at the bar yesterday, and I ordered a beer, and the first person I thought of was Papa Cueto.
Whoa.
I was like, now LU's getting good again, because, I was thinking about it outside of watching it,
And you were ordering a Modelo, weren't you?
I was ordering a Modelo. Yes, Negro Modelo.
I'm sorry you can't bring your own quite yet. I gotta get in touch with a freight company.
Yeah, I mean, come on, James, what's going on? Let's go Aerostar.
I mean,
James, we gotta make a trip to North Carolina.
Yeah, I'll probably make my North Carolina trip. Yeah.
I had 8 pallets. Now I got 6. So.
Oh, Zeus, you thirsty bastard! Look at you.
I fear for your liver.
Yeah.
Well, no. My wife and I, we had a big party. We invited.
That's cool. Everybody had the lucha mask on, right?
That's right.
Yeah, I couldn't believe it at all. I was sitting in the bar yesterday, and I'm like, ordered my beer, and even before I sipped it, I thought of Papa Cueto. Right. And I started smiling. I was like, oh my God, look, it's the Lucha Underground influence infiltrating in real life, you know?
Yeah. And, there's, this whole season, like, it's like, I hate to, it's like, I'm so excited for next week, whatever it brings, whatever it brings. But, like, part of me is like, something tells me that, there's, some huge things are going to happen toward the end. It's like there was that, I don't know. Did you either one of you guys ever watch Sons of Anarchy?
Well, of course, I love that show.
You remember the season was like, I think it was like the end of season 4 where it's like everything looked like it was going to, just everything was turning to crap.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
But then they flipped it around on everybody else that had been, put them in that bad situation, right at the end. So, it's like, I think it's going to look really dark at the end. And then, we're going to get that ray of that explosion of, oh my God, that's going to leave us just, yearning for season 5.
Yeah. I'm already yearning to see, actually, I'm already anxious to see who else is coming to the temple,
Oh,
we got Tommy Jima, Jake Strong, Exolicious. Who's next to come in?
Kevin
Cross. Who's next?
Yeah, Kevin Cross.
Yep. Like
Chelsea Green.
Yep. Who's next?
Yeah.
That's gonna be awesome.
It was a great episode of
it was.
But
it was.
I think it's time.
It's time.
Is it time?
I think it's Vader time.
Vader time. Yeah.
Leon White.
Yes, rest in peace. He I first saw I never had the privilege of seeing him live, but I first saw Vader on a New Japan tape. Okay, I was doing tape trading back in the days, and I found this New Japan tape, and I popped it in, and not knowing who he was, I see this monster come out and this big, huge helmet mask that scared the shit out of me, And then, smoke was coming out of the helmet, and I was like, what the hell is this? Who is this guy? He takes the helmet off, he puts it on his fist, the smoke is coming. I was like, oh my God, this guy's a beast. And then he's moving around the ring and, doing Vader bombs from the, like off the second turnbuckle. And I'm like, this guy's amazing. So then I started doing a little research, and that's when I found out about Baby Bull in the AWA, him and Otto Watts and Catch Wrestling Association, him and El Connect were going at it, So I was like, this guy is amazing, He's amazing. He has some matches that actually stick with me the most are the WCW matches. It was him and Cactus Jack.
Oh yeah,
those matches were brutal. Those were straight up fights.
Those are matches.
They were. I mean, they were.
One of those matches where Cactus Jack got half his ear ripped off.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I mean, they were brutal. I mean, they were punching each other like You want to talk about stiff shots? Holy shit! I mean, they were stiff. And then also in WCW, I thought it was genius pairing. It was him and Harley Race. I thought they were genius together. Genius. Especially the whole thing with Race, Flair, and Vader, and then you had Sting come into it. That was genius, pure genius. Genius.
There wasn't much that Harley Race was doing wrong at that point either. I mean, to be in that situation where he's, transitioning from, being a, winding down his wrestling career and then beginning as a manager. I mean, he really did, because he did good with Luger, and he, and then he moved right from Luger into Vader.
Yeah. You have to give credit to Harley Race. I mean, if he can make Lex Luger look good, oh my God, brutal, But I mean, him and Vader I thought it was genius pairing, man, because they were perfect together. They were perfect together. Perfect.
Oh yeah.
But again, I never had the privilege of seeing him live, you know. So I can imagine, all the excitement that he actually brought to the ring live, you know.
Yeah, man. Like you, I remember seeing those when they were promoting him ahead of debuting in WCW.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Those clips from Japan. I remember seeing those on WCW and just freaking out, like, "Oh my God, who's this?" And then remember when he debuts against Tom Zink at the Great American Bash in '90.
The Z-Man, yeah.
Yeah, the Z-Man.
The legend.
Yeah. Oh,
Now I watched that again this week. I hadn't seen it since decades, and it was like, oh my God, like
a squash match.
Yeah, it was like, oh my God, it was. I remember went back to that point in time, like how we were all freaking out about Vader.
Mm-hmm.
But when I finally saw Vader live, I saw him at a WWF house show in June of 1998. And it was sadly it was like a crappy like match. It was him versus Kama Mustafa, who's was Papa Shango, Vader, the Godfather.
The brutal gimmicks back then. Oh,
Soul Taker.
Yeah, Soul Taker. Yeah. No, oh my God, please. Oh.
And
somebody fired the writing staff.
Yeah, I mean, the match, it was I remember my brother Larry and me, we were just freaking out because we're like, we get to see Vader, but it wasn't, it wasn't a very good match, of course, because WWF totally bungled Vader.
Yeah, I don't think they knew what to do with him, to be honest.
Yeah, they dropped the ball with Vader.
He could have been world champion for I think he could have had a short little run with the title,
He should have. I mean, he was right there with Shawn.
Mm-hmm.
Him and Shawn had great matches, so it should have been, but they screwed the pooch by having, Shawn win that first one. It should have been Vader winning the first one and then Shawn coming back to win the title. It would have made Shawn look even better.
That SummerSlam match, that match gives me so many headaches.
He was part of infamy too, because Shawn Michaels yelled at him in the ring. Remember that?
Oh yeah.
I wish I was Vader for 5 minutes. I would have got up and bitch slapped Shawn Michaels.
Yeah.
Don't yell at me, kid.
I mean, he's that's the thing. It's like everybody. Anybody tells me Shawn Michaels is the greatest ever, I just roll my eyes. I'm like,
nah. He's up there, but he's not the greatest ever. No, he's good, but no.
He makes so many things way too personal, throughout his career, and the fact that like Cornette, he just said recently that. Vince and Vader never saw eye to eye. They didn't really get each other, and it's just like I said, WWF just totally dropped the ball with Vader.
Oh, absolutely, I totally agree. Absolutely, they had a world champion right in their hands, and they didn't know what to do with him.
Oh man, if he had had that WWF run like we had discussed in a conversation outside of this. He would have been the only person to have like the IWGP, WCW,
All Japan,
Triple Crown. Like he would have had all of that stuff. It would have been amazing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, his resume is greater than anybody's. I mean, when you look at what his titles, being a champion around the world, being IWGP champion, CWA champion in Austria, and
UWA in Mexico.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Yeah. And I mean, and he won all of those titles by beating established world champion type guys like El Canek.
For the promotion's top guys. He beat Ricky Choshu in IWGP. He beat up El Canek. He beat up Otto Wantz. Every promotion's top guy.
Yeah, I mean, he was the last guy that was really like a champion. around the world.
Mm-hmm.
And that was a year or so of him, and the heavy travel. And I mean, at that time when he did that, I mean, that was something that nobody, like not even the NWA World Champion was going from promotion to promotion anymore. I mean, that it had died out by then.
Yeah, it died out. Ric Flair was the last person doing it, right? Mm-hmm.
And so he was like the last true worldly champion, and then to transition from that into WCW, becoming WCW World Champion. It's just, I mean, you talk about a 5-year period in his career where, you could easily say he was the top guy in the world.
Oh, absolutely.
Oh, yeah.
Absolutely. No doubt about that. No doubt. Yeah. Yeah. It was a time where it really was Vader time. I mean, I mean, it was his show, I mean, everybody wanted to be Vader, everybody wanted to see Vader with the strap, everybody wanted to see Vader beat the shit out of people,
You know who's seen Vader a number of times?
Oh,
Zeus.
Yes, that is right. Zeus is all over the place. Jesus.
Share with us, Zeus. Share.
Yes,
all
please,
right,
please.
So the first time I got to see him live was August 1990 in Greensboro, and he was up against Tom Zink again. This was shortly after that first Great American Bash. As the guys at Wrestler Weekly like to refer to him as the legendary.
The legendary is brutal.
I'm like, wow, that's you really inflate people sometimes. I mean, rest in peace, Tom Zink. And if he's in heaven, he's staring clear out of the part that Vader is in.
Either that or either that or he's in heaven still getting stiff shots to the face. So hey.
And I can tell you something else too, about Vader, like especially this early part, because he had the full mask. That full mask, that really kind of lucha wrestling mask at the time, and he had his outfit had those was black with the red like streak cracks and things, and like that kind of made gave
not the Vader Time logo in the middle, right?
Yeah, and like the whole my whole thing is like that conjured into my comic book anime type mind the first time I saw him was, okay, so here's this guy, like this comet, this asteroid, comes from outer space into Earth's atmosphere. And strikes the ground, and it's it's a black meteorite, and it's cracking open, and out comes Vader, with his and like his spaceship becomes his helmet.
Yeah,
like the spaceship part of that asteroid becomes his helmet, and everything. And so, like, I mean, you talk about somebody who just really captured my imagination. It's like they should have done like they did with Thunder Liger, and Vader should have had an anime series.
Oh,
oh, that would have been so cool, man.
You're gonna make me want to that now.
Yeah. I like that picture that you drew, those Zeus. The way he was power bonding Dustin Runnels. That was an awesome pic you did, man. He looked like Vader. He I was like, oh shit, I'm scared. I'm actually marking out over this pick. It was awesome. It was great. It was a great pick, by the way. I'm sorry.
That was a great drawing. Yeah.
Thank you. And it's the thing I've always tried to do is like, especially with how terrible that WCW comic book was. Because I was like going, well, you guys don't get it because you're comic book guys and you don't understand wrestling. Because like the only guy that really understood pro wrestling in comics was Jack Kirby, because he liked to watch it while he was drawing, and you could see stuff like because he liked
that's the master though,
right?
But he liked the master Kirby. Yeah,
he liked Antonio Rocca, who was the he did a lot of, tumbling and flips and things like that. And he loved incorporating that into his, into his action. And, so, I've always tried to, when you think about a power bomb, there's like 3 stages of it. Okay. There's the where you begin it, where dude's bent over, and that doesn't look good. That doesn't lend itself really to the action of it. Then the guy all the way up in the air, about to come down, that's conveying some action. And then the impact.
Yeah.
And the impact is where it happens. And so that's what I was trying to convey is that slamming down, because otherwise you kind of got to draw a lot of wrestling from the side.
Right.
And in sequence, to kind of show, how to convey the destructive power of, a Vader power bomb. So that's what I was doing. And, and Vader came to the ring, and I got a lot of great pictures.
Where do you rate his power bomb, Zeus?
Oh yeah. I mean, and he came to the ring really slow. And he came around, he saw me because, I had that, made that poster, that big red poster of for Vader. And he came to the ring, and, he did the smoke, out of the helmet and everything for, and then he spent about, a minute and a half beating the crap out of Tom Zink and left. And, Tom Zink, he had the, he had like, what was his finishing move? It's like the top rope drop kick.
Yeah, did he use like a drop kick sometimes? Like missile drop kick off the top rope, something like that.
Yeah, it's like Great Muta does that like 8 minutes into a match.
Yeah, exactly.
And that's not even his finishing move. I'm like, he was the most bland guy that just got over on his looks and being he was definitely above average, but I'm like, yeah, okay. So
he was a glorified jobber. Come on, he was a glorified jobber.
Exactly. So, then, fast forward a couple years later, July, 1992, I was in college at the time, and at East Carolina, and we drove to Fort Bragg, North Carolina, to see WCW house show. And I'd not bought the Great American Bash pay-per-view, which was just had just happened. And I'm trying to think of exactly what the date was on that. But so we drive down there, and it just really it was July the 12th was the Great American Bash. And it's 5 days later. 5 days later, I'm at this house show, and that you didn't know who was going to be doing what,
right?
And so they announced, they had Sting they had Steve Austin defended the TV title against Barry Windham, the Steiners against Dr. Death and Steve Williams, and then they had Sting and Nikita Koloff come out as a tag team, and they were facing Rick Rude, the WCW US champion, and Big Van Vader, the brand new world heavyweight champion.
Wow.
That's I pay money to see that right now, big time.
Right. And so because I didn't buy the Great American Bash because I was convinced in my head that Sting was going to win.
Right.
Because it looked like, it's like, Vader looked so unbeatable that I was like, well, that's what's, this is where Sting is going to be Sting, and he's going to make the miraculous comeback, and he's going to beat Vader, and then he's going to look great because, there was this other, there was like an unwritten rule, the unwritten rules of wrestling. Like, I always felt like one of those rules was, if you're too big to get the belt around your waist, then they're not going to let you have it. Yeah. like Andre never won it.
Right.
I mean, he did that one time, but then they took it they took it away from him right away. You know, and so there was just always this thing in my head about super heavyweights winning the belt, and I just didn't think that, you know, that WCW would believe in Vader enough to you know, for him to win. So he did, and you know, there he is, and me and most of the people in that in the small that little arena on base there were really shocked. I mean, there was people looking around at each other going, "Did you know Vader beat Sting?" And like, no,
you're like, "Oh my God, I didn't get Great American Bash. What's wrong with me?"
Right. And you know, it's like, you know, people are, well, he must have cheated to beat Sting. He can't beat Sting. And so you know, it was a great match, great tag team match. You know, Nikita and
I love
Rick
Nikita
Rude
Koloff.
did great. You know, Sting and Vader were doing great. You know, it's just
how did Vader look live, Zeus? How did he move around the ring live? I mean,
just, you know, he was so agile. It was that lateral movement, that side to side movement. You know, he was able to you know, to pull off so many things. You know, he did. You know, back then the Vader bomb was where he would do like that body press out of the corner.
Right.
Like he would get you down in the corner and then just do it like a splash. And he was doing that, and and if I'm not mistaken, I think Rick Rude, Harley Race, and Vader all came to the arena in a van together.
Oh wow!
And you talk about a van that was riding low to the ground with those guys. I mean, that's some beef right there. You know, that's like, you know, that's like about 1,200 pounds right there.
Oof.
But you know, he just, you know, Vader looked so good, and Sting did too. I mean, Sting was just, you know, he was the kind of guy you could just, you know, he would just change, like, I think he changed like his weightlifting routines, things to better suit his opponents back then. And you know, Nikita was still hot. You know, he turned face, and you know, Rick Rude, you know, just quintessential heel. And Nikita ended up pinning Rick Rude to end the night for that one.
Nice. I love Nikita Koloff, man.
That sounds like a great match.
Yeah, that sounds that would be awesome to see now. You know, I mean,
I know.
Like I said,
we need a time machine.
I pay. Yeah, exactly. You know.
Yeah,
I paid big money to see that right now. Let me tell you. You know.
Oh yeah, that would have been a great place to have had a you know, a small video camera. But you know, of course, back then, you know, video cameras were about the size of the ones they use for, you know, a live, you know, newscast.
Yeah, I know. I used to have an old Panasonic VHS thing, and that thing sat on my shoulder. It was huge. It was like bigger than my pillow. You know, it was like
Exactly.
it was ridiculous.
Well, then later that year, WCW came to Winston-Salem and drove home for that. That was November, and Ron Simmons had beaten Vader for the world title later that summer, and so it was Vader versus Nikita Koloff in a singles match, and Vader won that one clean, which was crazy too. It's like he power bombed Nikita, and Nikita lost clean, which was really shocking because, you know, the Winston-Salem, you know, right there, 20 minutes from Greensboro, you know, the crowd was heavily behind Nikita Koloff.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And
he was fighting for Magnum TA, remember?
Yeah. I mean, all of that, you know, I mean, because you're talking about so many fans that showed up that night. And I mean, it was like being, you know, it was like old, you know, Jim Crockett Promotions type of crowd that night.
Yeah.
And you know, Vader was just dominant, just blasted Nikita with everything, and Nikita made a comeback, but you know, then the next thing you know, there he is, he's out for legit 3 count.
That's awesome, man. Let me ask you a question, Zeus and Pedro, both of you.
Okay.
Where do you rank his power bomb?
Oh,
is it among the best? Is it among the worst? I mean,
oh no,
I think the worst power bomb in history goes to Kevin Nash. He sucks.
Right.
But I thought Vader had one of the greatest power bombs ever. Like you said, Zeus, it was all about the impact.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, he just, and he would go for a good cover too.
Yeah.
I don't think that, Vader did, he paralyzed that one dude.
Yeah. Yeah.
Which was sad.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I remember that.
But it's like Joe Kazana or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
But really, I mean, just as far as sheer power, brutality, and following through with it, I think that Vader's power bomb is definitely one of the best.
Yeah, I mean, I was in discussion. I had a friend of mine over at my house recently, and and we were discussing the power bombs, and he was like, "Oh, I like Sid Vicious power bomb." Everybody agreed that Kevin Nash power bomb was the worst, but I was like, "Hey, Vader's power bomb was ridiculous. It's because he looked like he legitimately knocked out people with that power bomb." And I mean, he looked like, ask Tom Zink.
And Nikita Koloff for that matter, because with Nikita was what ended Nikita's career. He legit hurt broke his back, and Nikita never wrestled again.
Yeah. That's sad.
Yeah, that's the thing. That's the thing is like that you hear so many other people in wrestling, and they say how nice and really, a giant teddy bear of a guy that Vader was away from the ring. I think he's just one of those guys that just didn't know his own strength.
Yeah, he looked like he looked like real big bad guys from Colorado that he would toss hay bales. I mean, he just didn't know his own strength. He was freakishly strong.
Yeah. And another funny thing is, like, everybody talks about him being from Colorado and everything. Well, he was raised in Compton.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, that's right.
Compton,
that's
Compton,
right. California. That's right. I totally forgot about that. That's right.
Vader is straight out of Compton.
He was straight out of Compton. That's right.
And
that's right.
Yeah. So
he was rocking his NWA hat over to the side.
But that meant when he was rocking it.
Yeah, exactly. I would have loved to see him walk the streets of Compton. I don't think nobody would mess with him.
Oh man, that was like old school Vader, like stomping through Compton.
Yeah,
wearing an NWA gear. That would.
Oh my God, I would kill for that.
I see Vader walking through the streets with his what's that really famous steakhouse from Tokyo?
Oh, Ribera, right?
Yeah. They give the Gaijins all the jackets. Silk jackets, and Vader wearing a baseball cap, and that's a good. I think we might need to draw that.
Yeah. There you go, Zeus. Uh-oh. You heard it here first. Upcoming new artwork from Zeus. Wow, man. He must have been something to see in real life, because I mean, on screen, he looked like a behemoth. He was huge.
He really was. And I tell you something else. When he was leaving the ring,
before his knees went bad.
That match at in Fayetteville, I went down to the edge because like everybody was leaving.
Yeah.
And so I was able to run down to ringside, and I high-fived Vader as he was leaving. Yes.
Nice.
I high-fived Vader, and as I'm high-fiving him with my left hand, my right hand, I slapped him on the back of the tricep. And it hurt. It was like slapping a concrete block that was covered in like it had like a coating of rubber on it.
Oh my God!
It hurt my
Oh my
hand.
God.
That's a new T-shirt for Zeus.
No,
I high five Vader and it hurt.
Yeah. I mean, and he's
Wow.
just walking out. He just had his hand, he just held his hand up for me to, because
Yeah.
I mean, I was chanting Vader during the match, and and that's the thing. It's like these small arenas. It's like when you're loud, people
Everybody hears you. Yeah.
especially when everybody's pulling for the for Sting and Sting and Nikita.
I think we've learned one thing about Zeus from these podcasts is he's secretly wants to get beaten up by a mob.
Yeah, anti-establishment.
Instigate like a violence from a mob. I think
everybody's rooting for Nikita and the Magnum TA. I wrestled for Magnum TA. Here comes Zeus. To hell with that. I want Vader.
Right.
Also, it's Vader time. Damn it.
Right.
Vader walking down Compton, you need to have like a kid high-fiving him but making a pained face, and then you have your T-shirt.
Oh yeah.
Vader
just walking beside him, just slapping him on the back of the arm.
Yeah.
Ow.
Jeez, ow. Yeah, that's awesome, man. That's an awesome story. That's awesome.
Yeah. The other time was sadly WWF house show. But I mean, they were still, trying to put him into stuff, and that whole thing with Shamrock was, was crazy. Where Shamrock went, ape shit, and beat
I
his face.
remember that. Yeah, that whole storyline. Yeah.
And that I tell you, my Muay Thai instructor Chris, he was a big fan of Shamrock when he was doing the UFC, and even before that, they just called it, shoot fighting in Japan. And, when all that happened, you've seen things, where guys kind of lose it sometimes. And Shamrock was definitely that kind of a guy who, once he's flipped that switch, it's, he's pretty psychotic. But it was Vader.
He portrayed one really well on TV. Let me tell you.
Yeah, Vader versus Shamrock versus The Rock, who was the Intercontinental Champion at the time.
Oh, that sounds interesting.
Oh wow.
Yeah, and this was October 1998 in Greensboro.
Did Rock oversell for Vader?
Yeah. I mean, everybody was still everybody was selling for each other. It wasn't. I don't think anybody had a problem with each other at this point. Overall, it was a good show. I mean, it was a good house show. And of course, this is really at that early height of The Rock. I mean, everybody was going nuts for The Rock, and I think Vader ended up just being outside of the ring when The Rock did the people's elbow on Shamrock for the win. Crowd went crazy for that. Oddly enough, the main event of that night was the New Age Outlaws against I think it was D'Lo Brown and Mark Henry.
Oh wow.
Yeah, I mean, that was like when DX was at their. They were at they were so stupidly over.
Yeah.
And
D'Lo Brown.
Yeah, and there was the cage match for the world title wasn't even the main event, and that was Stone Cold versus The Undertaker versus Kane versus Mankind.
Oh,
that wasn't the
still cage. That's nice.
Yeah. So overall it was great house show, and once again, I mean, Vader was still good. He was still really good at the time. They just
that's before his knees went.
Kind of putting him in there.
Yeah,
because they just didn't write anything good for him.
Yeah, I thought again, you had this former world champion, and you could have built him up to be the monster, and he could have ran roughshod through the whole locker room, and you could have easily put the strap on him for about a good 4 to 6 month run, have him beat the crap out of everybody. It would have been cool. It would have been cool to set him up like that.
If you want proof of how much what the WWF missed out on with Vader, look at what he does like after the WWF. He goes to All Japan. He has all these. He gets the run. He gets 2 runs with the Triple Crown. He has great matches with Masawa, Kobashi.
Yeah, those were good matches. Yeah,
Akiyama. He has all these great matches, and then I think he even does a. Does he have a tag run in All Japan?
Yeah, with Stan Hansen.
Right.
Yes.
So, I mean, he has this really strong, it's not like a long period, but he has this really strong post period where you're like, we could have got some of this stuff like in WWF, like when his knees were a little bit healthier. Because his knees were on a bad way by that time. But
yeah, I think the WWF at the time was too heavily invested with Rock, Austin, all that, Shawn Michaels. But it was like when Zeus mentioned earlier, you had an instant storyline with Shawn Michaels and Vader right there. You could have easily made that work.
That thing they did with Shawn Michaels and Sid Vicious, that could have been Shawn Michaels and Vader.
And Vader.
Yeah.
Yep. And then have Vader turn on him.
Stupid way to put Sid over.
Yeah. And again, look who you're talking about. At that time, Shawn Michaels was very selfish at that time. It was all about me.
Oh yeah, and like I said, between him and Vince, saying that he didn't get, because they wanted to literally turn Vader into a mastodon.
The second coming of Mantar.
Come out with a big, big furry helmet thing with tusks on it and wearing fur, and it's like, Jesus Christ, dude. It's like, thank God,
brutal.
Between Vader and Cornette, they kind of saved that. It's like, I mean, that would have been easily the dumbest gimmick, of all time, WWF wise.
That's well. Dave has some horrible gimmicks to begin with. So I mean, I think we should do a show one day on that. Like the worst gimmicks in history, because they're up there. They have some crap. I mean, and some great talent is stuck in some shitty positions. I mean, horrible. Even simple stuff like Taz with 2 Z's. I mean, come on, really? Stop.
Well, that was because of Warner Brothers was going to sue.
Yeah, I know. Mm-hmm.
They didn't have money to go toe to toe with Time Warner.
Yeah, the Time Warner was like, that's copyright infringement.
And because he was the Tasmaniac.
Mm-hmm.
And, and he looked like an idiot. He had face paint and bare feet and all that crap.
Yeah, but bare feet and the fur on the singlet. Yeah, that was horrible.
Yeah. And it was
and jerry curls.
Yeah, and it was Ricky Steamboat that told him, "Hey, man, you need to be you, not this cartoon character."
That is horrible. That's horrible.
Yeah.
But I'm so glad that Vader stuck to his guns, and he has to remain Vader, because I could not see him. I could not see him in a Mastodon outfit, because it would have been the second coming of Mantar. It would have been ridiculous. It would have been horrible. He would have got booed out the building.
And it would have been dumb because he was so well known. He had been
exactly. He was already world champ. He was Vader.
Strong champ in the United States already with WCW. It would have
been he was everybody. He was known around the world as Big Van Vader. End of story. That was it.
Yeah. And like I said, I mean, easily Vader has the biggest resume of titles of any super heavyweight of all time.
Oh yeah.
He showed the world what an agile big man can do. The first ever 400-pound moonsault. You know,
That's
Can
you imagine somebody taking that move? You gotta pay. You buying dinner and drinks for the next week, okay?
Yeah.
Because if I gotta stand there and take that move, buddy, you're paying.
Yeah, I mean, he was in the live action Fist of the North Star movie. Video game characters like Raiden from Fatal Fury were based on Vader. He was everywhere. He was had a huge following.
I think to me, and people want to argue about Brock Lesnar and all that, but I say I think Vader was one of the last pure badasses. Like he was out of the ring, he was a gentleman, soft spoken, but in the ring, he was a pure, straight up badass. I mean, nothing got done unless he wanted to do it. He was a straight up badass.
Yep.
And don't question the legitimacy of pro wrestling if you're an interviewer in Kuwait.
Oh yeah, remember that? Yes. Oh yeah, you remember that? Oh yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yep.
That's some balls to stand up to Vader and say that. Wow.
They said that Vader was only fined like $160 or something for that.
Really?
Yeah, he was detained originally, but like it all boiled down to it's like, like they never filed charges or anything like that. And
not for nothing, but I'd be too scared to file charges against him. Vader bomb.
It takes a dude like Vader to just say screw it. I don't care if I'm a foreigner in a country that's known for cutting purse snatchers' hands off. I'm gonna show this dude. You ask me if this is fake. That's he was a legitimate badass. And he will be missed. He will be missed, and he's up there in heaven right now. He's up there in heaven right now, and I think he's power bombing Tom Zink somewhere. So that's it. Oh yeah, Tom Zink's flying on those wings, trying to get the hell away from him.
Yeah, he's probably saying to himself, "Shit, I don't know this. I don't know what the hell."
By the way, speaking of people who do unexpected moonsaults, happy birthday to Terry Funk.
Yes, sir. Yes. Happy birthday to the Funker. Yes. For all his many accolades, I still remember him as the ECW champion. That was an awesome match. Loved it.
Oh yeah, I mean, it's like he's 73 now. He's 73, and he's never
probably still branding people. Yeah, he's awesome, man. He's awesome. Happy birthday to the Funker.
Well, are you gonna take us out?
Yeah, we're gonna go out. I'm not gonna set anything for next week because there's some things up in the air, so we'll see. But
España.
But thanks everyone for listening. And we'll see y'all next time.
Thanks everybody. You guys have a good weekend. Everybody have a good weekend. Mark out Mania, baby.